Oh. Good morning, gamers. How are we doing, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Just very much setting things up. But yeah, today's gonna be a restream of the Discord stage. Which, by the way, before someone gets mad about it, I specifically really pushed for them to start streaming these on Twitch. That's what everyone was like, stream them on Twitch, and they didn't want to. And then I was like, okay, if y'all aren't gonna stream them on Twitch, can we stream it on Twitch? And they said yeah. So just putting that out there. I am here because we are legally allowed to, and let's get into it. Okay, I don't hear anything. I hear absolutely nothing. Maybe everybody hears nothing? That would be good. Okay, we're good. Welcome. Dude, this is the opening music? Okay.
Hello, I'm doing a quick test. Hello, community.
That's Mod Hooli.
Hello. Okay, well that's good. That's a good start. It's my first stage, so I'm glad you can hear me. Give us a second. We're just getting the troops together. How's everyone doing today? Is everyone skilling on the side of listening to this? I would be if I could concentrate enough to do both.
So
Not
my
enough
question
multitaskers
is,
to do that.
I think if I click on this, it's gonna boot
No XP
me.
waste.
Did it boot me? Yeah, it did. Okay, that's okay. Because they're not ready yet. So why don't we do this?
I'm just using Proteans to skill Herbie, so.
And then that way,
Let's do
you guys can see the
a
chat.
mic check and just make sure
Perfect.
chat can hear everybody. Azana?
All right, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can't hear Azana, so I've got an issue with
I can
my
hear Azana.
Okay, we're good.
Can the chat hear Azana? Can the chat hear me?
You
Okay,
nearly leave
I'm
your phone
fine.
number and email.
It's Hooli's-
We're good.
I'm
Don't
going to
worry.
be the quiet one anyway, so don't mind too much about me being heard. So.
Hooli, can you hear me? Say yes if you can.
Now I can hear you.
Hey.
Hello, Jack.
Wait.
I can hear Azana. Can I hear a mod Markos?
Can you hear me?
So just a quick note, guys. So Mod Jack is the lead game designer for RuneScape. Mod Hooli and Mod Azana are both CM. Mod Hooli might also be my boss. And then Mod Markos would be what people are presuming is the new executive producer who's coming over from old school. So yeah, let's get it. Chat is over here, and then there's another room where people can ask questions as well. So yeah, let's do it.
To make sure that it's catching everything, but we should be good to get the ball rolling.
Brilliant. All right. Okay. I'll kick it off as if this is start a recording then. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Discord Stage podcast with us here on the RuneScape team. It's really great to have you here. For those of you who've not joined us for a Discord Stage, it looks like there's more of you than we've ever had in here, which is amazing. This is what you can expect. These are more casual chats. We use these as a bit of a mix-up between our live streams, where we're trying to maybe present a little bit more and kind of show you some things that are coming for the game, you know, setting up, being a bit more formal. This is more of a laid-back chat. It's more for us to have opportunities to talk to you about different parts of the game, our development, and bring you inside it a little bit. So it's really great to have you here, whether you're listening to us on demand after the show or if you're here with us live. It's really, really awesome. If you are really here with us live, the biggest thing we can say is please do drop any questions you have in JMod questions. We're looking at the chat. and we're also looking at CM talks as well. So you are welcome to kind of talk along as we go and join the community conversation in CM chats, and then drop any specific questions in the JMod questions channel, and that's how we'll try and organize those. I'm just going to do a quick introduction to our cast. So hopefully all of you saw the roadmap stream on Tuesday. So we have a returning guest from that, who it was their first appearance for RuneScape with us, which was amazing. Mod Markos is here with us again. Hello, Mod Markos.
Hello, how are you?
Good, good. Yeah, it's. I think there's a lot to talk about today, but I'm excited. I think I'm still pretty buzzed up from that stream. So I don't know about you, but like, it's been a fun week for RuneScape, that's for sure, eh?
Yeah, it's been busy. That's what I say. Been very busy the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's been a lot building up to it for sure. And then also, just to introduce one other guest before we get into it with me and Markos, Mod Jack is with us. Hey, Mod Jack, it's been a
Hello.
while since we let you loose on Discord.
Yeah, I'm excited to get back to talking far too much on live streams and stuff.
That's kind of an inside joke.
Yeah,
because Mod
no,
Jack
it's
just
it's
talks
good
like
to
a
have you here.
madman.
We thought we'd bring Mod Jack in.
He'll go for 10
Mod Markos
hours.
has got plenty to say, and I'm sure you'll mostly be hearing from myself and Markos, because that's the subject of the show, is to let you get to know Markos a little bit, and also to talk a little bit about what's been going on at the studio. But given that Markos has been with us for, what is it, a month or so now, Markos, something like that? Been working with
Around
us?
that, yeah. I think it's about like 3-4 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, so given that Markos has simulated a lot in a 4-week period, but we thought it'd be good to have Mod Jack here as well, especially to talk about some things around last year and kind of some of the things we took forward as well. So, all right, I guess we'll get into it. Chat, hello, by the way, we see you. Some people talking about Mod Markos here, save the game. So some people already hyping you up in chat, Markos, which is really, really cool. So let's get a little bit to know you first, I think, Markos. Firstly, like, how are you feeling after that roadmap reveal? Where are you sitting right now?
Yeah, I feel good. I think that obviously before you do it's a fairly big deal, wasn't it, the live stream? So you always have a bit of nerves around like, we thought the roadmap was good, but you obviously never know exactly how people are going to respond to it and so on. So really pleased to see like that. Generally, it seems to be like the response has been really positive from a large percentage of the community, and hopefully it managed to kind of surpass people's kind of expectations, I guess, in terms of going into that. Because I realised there'd been a somewhat fallow period in recent months, and then now obviously the main challenge is really with us to make sure we actually deliver on it, because actually putting together a roadmap graphic and so on is the easy bit. Actually building it and making sure the updates are really good and we keep like delivering them to the players is like the key thing now.
Yeah, it's funny you mention about like the nerves going in, because I think all of us were like looking at the roadmap and going, "This is really good, right? Yeah, this is really good, right? Like, yeah, I think it is. I think players are gonna love this,
Can
right?"
confirm.
And everyone's just like nervously like wanting
that
it to
everyone was
be
very nervous.
amazing and kind of exceed people's expectations. Obviously, that's always the hope, but like there was that kind of everyone at the studio going, "We think it's good. We hope." Like you just never know, do you, until you go out and stream? And it's a weird spot to be, isn't it? Mentally, it's like just hoping you've got things right and that you've put together something amazing.
Yeah, and kind of as we were doing the stream, obviously we could see bits of the chat coming through from Twitch and so on, so you could get an idea about bits of it.
Wait, Twitch,
And
what's
then
that?
the other thing you probably don't realize when you're watching it is that room is really, really warm.
Shout
so
out
it's
Twitch.
actually like a bit like of a weird experience generally. But yeah, it was really good. And then you have the slightly kind of meta experience of like when I finished my bit of the live stream, I kind of came out and chatted to some of the team and stuff. But then they were watching reaction videos to it and stuff like that, because we're obviously following quite closely how the community were responding to it. And it was weird, like watching bits of myself being played back and stuff. It's all very odd.
Is the community in the room with us right now?
Yeah, it was funny as well, because like I was in there, I was just desperately trying not to look down the whole time at the chat, because we had it on that little iPad in front of us, and all I wanted to do was stare at chat, and out of the corner of my eye I could maybe just see it moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, but I've seen it move at 1,000,000 miles an hour when we've like caused people to panic by something. So a lot of the time I was just going, I hope that's a good sign. Like I have no idea. But yeah, thankfully it went down really well, which is good. So speaking of that stream, obviously we kind of briefly introduced you on the stream. You talked a little bit about being from the Jurassic era, I think you put it, of RuneScape, and then obviously you've been executive producer on Old School. Now you're partly on RuneScape again. So like, what is your background on RuneScape? Like, where before you were on OSRS as executive producer, what were you doing on RuneScape? What was your role and kind of what's your history with Jagex?
Yeah, so I've worked at Jagex for many years, and when I first joined the company, I was working on RuneScape. And I was mostly focused more on like the editorial side of the game, with a couple of people that the community might know, but I've forgotten the mod names of. But I have worked with Mod Jack quite a bit before, like many years ago as well. So I worked mostly on like the editorial side. Also worked quite a lot on kind of like doing work on like the website and things as well. And then kind of gradually moved into more of a production role. So I worked with like various teams in RuneScape, and then I went on to various different products on Jagex. So I spent quite a few years working on Chronicle, which I greatly enjoyed. So
Nice.
I
the late
loved
limited
Chronicle.
So I worked on that for a number of years, and then I worked on various other projects, and then kind of went back to. I did a load of work on Old School in like 2019, and then went back to Old School like permanently in 2021. And I've been like EP on Old School since then, and now obviously leading the RuneScape team as well. So this is my first time working back on RuneScape in quite a few years now, actually. But
So
yeah,
he's
obviously
confirmed
working on
leading
RuneScape
RuneScape
and
too.
Old School it's pretty busy, I would say, but I've been really enjoying it so far. In particular, it's been good to work with people again like Mod Jack and so on, but also being able to chance to get to meet new people on the RuneScape team, like yourself, Mod Hooli, and some of the other devs and the designers and the artists and things like that. I've actually had a chance to work with the first time I've never met before. It's been really fun.
Awesome. Yeah, actually didn't know you worked on Chronicle, which is a wild one. So you've really been around the houses on, like, you're kind of a RuneScape franchise master at this point, to be honest.
I've worked
Like,
on
is that
everything. It's probably a fair description. Yeah, Jagex, I've worked on like nearly all sides of the business at various points. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, you just kind of mentioned it. So there was some I saw in the chat, looking back at the stream. Just for clarity for everyone, like, you're still working on Old School as well, right? It's just you're working on across both games at the moment. That's correct, right?
That's correct. I'm working on both games at the same time. Yeah.
Bro
Yeah, I
is
don't know how
not
you sleep.
sleeping at all.
To be honest, I don't know how you find time for it.
Bro is just
I
working.
spent all my time
RuneScape
thinking
is
about the
an intense game.
RuneScapes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot to consider. Yeah.
No, it's good. It's good. And I guess to go back a little bit, we're talking about Chronicle and everything. What did you most enjoy working on back in your original time in RuneScape? Because RuneScape veterans have been through a lot of content in their days. So, like, is there anything that stood out to you when you look back on working on RuneScape that you loved working on?
Yeah, I think that obviously it was a long time ago. Like some of the details elude me, but the overall the thing I remember most was it was just like a really exciting time to be working at the studio when I first joined. Like the game was like really popular then. And there was it was kind of an era of like quite a lot of classic content and stuff going out. I think there was quite a lot of like some of the main like Marjarak quests and stuff were being worked on, that kind of stuff. And the generally there's like a really good buzz working there. So I really enjoyed kind of working on in the games industry because I've been like a big games player for like many years, like since I was a really young child. And I think that the other thing I was reflecting on earlier when we were kind of like talking and stuff was the fact that when I look back at it now, I kind of think also about how RuneScape and Jagex as a whole was really like quite innovative and ahead of the game and stuff, and the way that the game worked and it was distributed, and like even like the way you subscribe to the game, like
Past
completely
tense
digitally
there
and
is
stuff like that, was
important.
like really quite cutting edge at the time and quite a few years ahead of many other games.
We
I'd
were
say.
cutting edge.
And I also feel like when I think back at it, I kind of took it for granted at the time, but actually things like the way that the developers interacted with the community and stuff was really like again quite pioneering and original. And again, it's something that the games industry has kind of replicated a lot over the years, but being involved in that I found like pretty exciting as well, because you could wander around the office and you'd see the developers would just be on. This was back in the day of the RuneScape forums being like unbelievably busy, pre-Reddit and stuff. So you'd see all the devs actually on the forums, like reading the comments, replying to the players, and like getting feedback directly and stuff as well. It was a really fun time.
It is. Do you know, it's interesting because, like, I still think even now it's a bit of an anomaly. Studios I've worked at before here, the idea of developers kind of having the freedom to just go out and talk to players is like a hard no for a lot of places. That's not to say anything bad about those places. It's just like that was something that I came here and it was just really cool. It's like, oh, anyone can just go out and put a tweet out and say, hey, what do you think of this? And what do you think of that? We shut down, full honesty. you know, I think when back in 21
shut
there
down
was a bit of a
honesty?
whoa, there's maybe a few too many things being said too early and being talked about a bit prematurely, and we kind of wound back a bit. But I hope last year it felt like we kind of had our devs out there a lot more. If you're listening out there, community, because we kind of tried to encourage our devs to be like, okay, maybe we reined you in a little bit too much here, because it's a bit of a magic of RuneScape, right? It's a pretty unique thing across both games, really. That to have devs out there like that, and I love it. Doom keeps people in check. True. It's very true. That is part of Doom, and I
What?
are here to
Hello?
enable as much as keep people in check,
What the
though.
fuck is
So
that?
yeah, it's the
Sorry.
whole thing. By the way, I don't know if you're seeing this chat,
Can
Markos, but like this is one of the most
confirm.
wholesome RuneScape chats. We've gone down tangents about Bob's axes, and if you are older than Bob's axes in terms of experience in Gillinor, I don't know if you'll like that comparison.
Someone was talking about armies of Gillinor. I did do work on Fun Orb, so yeah, I played armies of Gillinor, and
What is that?
Orb Defense was probably my favourite of the people who played Fun Orb.
God, Fun Orb, that's a throwback. Next you're going to start mentioning Miniclip, and then I'm going to get proper flashbacks.
Oh yeah,
Bro, I'm getting strays. What is
I'm going to do the classic. It's an important part of getting to know you, Markos, right? I'm going to do the classic thing. You've got to pick something, your favourite child, not between RS and OSRS, because that would just be cruel, but what's your favourite thing about RuneScape if you had to pick? What stands out to you most?
Yeah, well, I think with RuneScape, I think the things I've always liked about it in particular is just like the uniqueness of the character and the tone of the game. Like it's because I worked with the developers and stuff, and I knew them. You could kind of see them almost like in the content and stuff, and I always found that like really fascinating. But like I think the unique character of the game and the tone and the humor and all that kind of stuff obviously is like particularly like important and stuff like that. I think most of the time I've spent in game has been focused around mostly questing and skilling, I think, because I'm not very good at combat or anything. The PvP is kind of moderately terrifying as well. And generally, I've grown up a lot playing a lot of RPGs and things, particularly more like open world type RPGs. So things like Oblivion and stuff like that are kind of like the games I really love, and there's quite a lot of similarities, I think, between those kind of games and RuneScape. There's a lot of shared DNA. So RuneScape, I think the things I've spent the most on is probably like what I've described as like the eternal loop of woodcutting and fire making. So I've spent a lot of time basically constantly cutting that down, and I find that just kind of like a soothing, relaxing experience, which I just quite enjoy doing, even though I realise it's somewhat mundane.
Oh, I get that. Like when I look back, and some people in chat said it as well, especially around like nostalgia and everything. The thing that I always remember is like being a younger boy and playing the game, and like finding every hour of the day I could to do it. Waking up at like 5 a.m.
Also, sorry for
when
swearing
mining
earlier.
resources
I was
weren't
just not
were
expecting
shared,
to
and you
get
had
called
to
out.
compete with other people. Getting up with my friends so that we could go mine certain things. But the thing that always throws me back, I'd be interested, chat, if this is the same for you. There are certain songs I have an association with that remind me of certain things in RuneScape. There's certain songs in my life that I still listen to now that if I hear them, I immediately think, oh, I'm walking from Lumbee to Varrock, right? It's like a trigger. And it just brings me out, yeah, I see people in chat saying the thing, right? And it's crazy. It's like it just brings you back to the moment like it can do for a memory in your life outside the game as well. And that's what always stands out to me is like, it's the only game I have that association with. It's really, really weird. Which also tells you that I had audio off, which I'm sorry, audio team. Your audio is amazing. Your music's amazing. I mean, you don't. No disrespect. Linkin Park, yes. I've got some Linkin Park song associations as well. So, yeah, we should do something about that. We should celebrate that more. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent. Sorry. Okay, we should get into a little bit into like what I think a lot of people are here for, which is a little bit about where we're going, and a little bit about what's been going on as well. I think there's probably a lot to talk about there, and it's something that we didn't want to necessarily bring to a live stream where we wanted to talk forwards,
I'm glad
but
they're addressing this.
probably it's really interesting to a lot of people who've
they
taken the time to
didn't
join
want
us
it to be a
today.
live stream. Wait a second.
Firstly, let's talk about like,
Uh-oh.
do you have this benefit of having worked
Oops.
across both
Sorry,
games?
guys.
What is it you're most excited to bring from how old school RuneScape approaches things? And also, I kind of want to add to that because I think RuneScape does a lot of amazing things too. So, like, what's one thing you're most excited to bring out of RuneScape more that it already has too?
Yeah, I think with in terms of things to bring over from old school, like we touched on this a bit in the live stream the other day, but I think that some of it's to do with like the regularity of the community interaction. So it's making sure that we're talking to players.
Oh my God,
through
they
the development
slow-moded me.
process. and making sure they're on the journey with us, so they're kind
Okay.
of aware of what we're thinking, and we can kind of obviously the earlier we can kind of get like core feedback and validation and stuff like that, the better, because it means that the content will be released in the best possible
Bro.
shape. So some things like that. Obviously, we've been talking a bit separately around just making sure there's like regular beats of like talking to the players each week, giving information each week about new updates and things like that in terms of like, or talking about the previously announced updates in more detail and so on. So that's more like blog posts and live streams and so on like that. So I think that would be really good, like bringing some of that stuff back, which RuneScape used to do and old school has kept doing over like recent years as well. The other kind of things I've been looking at is and I've been working quite a bit with Modjack on, is around like the things like the roadmap structure and how we can get that a bit further out into the future, and so we can communicate it more earlier to the players in more detail and things like that. So what we did the other day in terms of showing like a quite detailed roadmap for like the next 6 months is intended to be like quite similar to what we'll do in the future. It might be we keep a bit more back as a surprise in the future because unlike old school RuneScape, obviously we don't have to poll everything, so we can like release surprise updates which can come a bit out of the blue, and will hopefully be like really pleasant surprises for the players and stuff. But yeah, generally it's like structuring the roadmap and like looking at how we balance like the larger and the smaller updates, making sure that there's meaningful updates going each month and avoiding there being months where the only things going in are kind of like quite ephemeral content that kind of goes in and out of the game, like the short-term events and that kind of stuff. So trying to make sure there's a really good balance of updates, and also making sure there's a variety of updates, which is one of the things we were really keen to do with the roadmap that we shared the other day. Making sure, like I mentioned, I talked earlier about skilling and questing being like my favorite thing. So making sure there's, there's a good amount of quests, like lore-based content. There's a lot of skilling activities, but then also there's quite a lot for the PVMers and so on as well. So all the different, like the main player groups have got like good content that they can get stuck into on a regular basis.
Yeah, I think I hope that came through. I'd be keen to see what chat said, but I think that was something that stood out to me when we were looking at people talking about the roadmap afterwards. Just it felt like almost everything on the roadmap was being talked about in some ways. I think before we've had like certain audiences, like our PVMers or something, feeling super satisfied and talking lots about it, and we don't hear as much chatter on everything else. It was really cool to see Quest is coming out to talk about the fact that the storyline was continuing and that we're going to also get seasonal quests. We saw skillers talking about the skilling updates and what they might be coming with those for things like woodcutting and fletching. It's really awesome to see, and I think for me as a player, I'm quite a variety player, so it definitely hit me. But yeah, it sounds like chat very happy to hear the level of communication and also the variety. So that's really awesome. So it sounds like step one, okay, Markos, based on chat at least. Good start.
That's the dream, yeah. I think that obviously of all these things, it's kind of like persisting it over time is like be very challenging and a lot of work, but we need to make sure we do that as best we can.
Yeah. I think you say a phrase that I've been using for quite some time, but it's about putting actions to words, right? Like it's one thing to say what we're going to do and say all the right things, but then we have to deliver on it, right? So I'm excited to see us do that. It's going to be really, really good. So
Yeah,
on that
exactly.
point, obviously, oh sorry, you go.
No, you go. Sorry, no, it's fine. You go.
Sorry, I was going full into flow mode to keep the conversation moving. So let's talk about RuneScape actually. So obviously, you kind of giving your perspective on something you want to bring and love, bring more out of for both games and
Holy
bring
moly,
to
thank you so much.
RuneScape.
Wait, that's
I know
super,
you've
super
only been
kind of
working
you.
on RuneScape for a very short time now, but like, what's your impression so far about how the team feels when we think about last year, both in terms of like things that we think we could build on from last year, but also things that we think were challenges or things to have learned from?
Yeah, I think that there's like last year was obviously kind of mixed. I think that there's some really good releases. Obviously released a new skill, and there was lots of other like pretty like chunky updates and stuff, like particularly earlier in the year. And I recognise that the autumn was a more challenging period after like Hero Pass got released and things.
Dude, I'm so glad they're
I
talking
think
about
that
I like
this.
the word
overall,
challenging.
yeah, I think overall the key thing that I've seen with the teams that I've been with it is that fundamentally it's a really talented team. Like they're really smart, they're very creative, they've got lots of really interesting ideas about stuff that we can do. The main challenge is more like how I can kind of help like get out of the way and just let them do that rather than overburden them with like process or whatever. So the main thing I want to be able to do is like empower the team more so they're actually more able to kind of make decisions about what they're making and in like a coherent way, obviously, like so like Modjack's obviously like got overview of all that kind of stuff as well. But the it's more like trying to get the team empowered so that they can like show off like their creativity and ideas and things they've got for the game. And then in particular, also like we talked about earlier, is like making sure that they're doing that, but it also dovetails with the regular talking to the community, keeping players up to date about what we're working on, making sure there's really good visibility in terms of like what the upcoming updates are and so on, so players know what they're getting for their subscription, and all those kind of things as well. So I think that's the key thing for me at the moment. It's just like almost like getting out of the way of the team and letting them just do stuff, and then and then just supporting them where they kind of need help, like unblock stuff and so on.
Oh, great. So, Jack just said it. I was about to bring you into this, Jack, saying I'm nodding along like I always do on streams, but no one can see me this time. Let's talk to you, Jack, as well. Markos obviously gave loads of amazing insight there. I hope to people in terms of what we took away from last year. Is there anything you would add from your perspective, especially kind of obviously being lead designer, that you kind of stands out to you from last year?
Yeah, I mean it's been an interesting year in terms of thinking about like what we delivered and what went well and what didn't go well. My main focus during last year was on Fort Forint 3, and that's been an interesting one in terms of learning that we like the main priority for me was delivering regular content and making sure we were doing something, and we were doing that. And it's kind of an interesting project to think about in the community that the updates were actually being received quite well, but they kind of failed to deliver on the one key point of creating like a lot of deep gameplay for endgame players.
Yeah, everyone other
And so
than
that's been
endgame
the main
players love
takeaway
the
for me for
fort.
last year was it's really important for us to be shipping regular content, but we have to be hitting that like lots of long tail gameplay for everybody. And so that's informed like the skilling plan. I'll be talking about more next week or the week after about what we mean by skilling updates and how we're going to be approaching that, making sure there's a lot to do. So 4, 4, and 3, for example, was kind of an experiment in what if we attach a construction level to something? Will that work? And then I think the answer in retrospect is like, no, if you've already leveled construction, you kind of feel like there wasn't really anything to do that month. And if we look back, into the previous year, that was a kind of a similar attempt as well for something like Garden of Grid,
Pride
with the
Slayer in
reward
here
shop.
talking about
So it's
Blackstone.
kind of about learning, and so I think,
Brother.
as Markos said, like that recommitment to like working with the community, making sure
He's got
that
no
we're
chill.
ideally like the worst case is that we put the update out, we get feedback on the update, we learn for the future. The best case is that we're able to put the design out in advance and get feedback and improve it before launch. I think that's what we're all quite excited to do.
Yeah,
that'd be a really good way to do things moving forward. I'm quite excited for that.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite things about going on stream is like we kind of just, if you remember the little kind of get involved thing we put at the end of it, that came together super last minute because we were like, we kind of have a mini roadmap, in a very small window of time of like ways we want players to be involved. And we kind of sat there and realized that's actually very different for us. Like if I look back at last year, I was really, really happy to see how much we started to try and work with players more. Like we took those like first steps to like community hit list. Obviously, it was really great. Some of our most kind of well-received updates last year was community hit list, which was amazing to see, and it just shows like how much we can gain from listening to players more and kind of being more direct with players. And then like I think about necromancy, most open developed skill. We brought the players in and got those creators who really helped make necromancy as good as it was at release with their feedback. By the way, my biggest regret is we didn't film that whole thing. Because like if you could have been a fly on the wall players to be in that room and see how much like iteration was happening, like we'd have devs literally changing things in real time almost to respond to feedback and everything. It was amazing. We really should have done a documentary on it or something. But
yeah,
there was all these things we did.
I got Josh Hayes playing on a different build.
Yeah, I remember.
Like, this, and I was like, oh well, I've been working with Sponge on a different build, so let's get that one loaded up and see whether you see what you think of it.
And it's like even some smaller things like I talked a little bit at the top of the show, like we had kind of when I initially joined, there was like developers were a lot more kind of timid to go out and speak because there'd been kind of some instance of things being said a little bit prematurely, and there was concern that like it's sometimes you have to talk about projects at the right time, and like there was a little bit of concern there, and so players got kind of timid. Our JMods got a little bit timid about it because they felt like they might accidentally say something they shouldn't. And we put a big effort last year into kind of trying to enable those JMods to feel like they could go out there again. It's never, if you've ever felt our JMods have been quieter, it's never been because of them. And that's something that CM was doing last year, and that was really awesome to see. It was like how much, even Ramen just being like, hey, what would you like to see for Christmas? Like these small little things that mean a lot happening. So there was all that good stuff, but then there was obviously things like the misstep of Hero Pass, right? And like those sorts of things happen. So it's such a weird year to look back to. And actually, I guess like let's talk very briefly on Hero Pass, I think, because I
Dude,
think it'd
this is
be a
why I
disservice
really
to
like
not
Mod
mention it
Hooli.
at all during this
He
chat.
will
It's not
jump
something we've
right into
really
the elephant
had
in
a
the
chance
room.
to sit down and talk about at any point. Like, Markos, since you began working on the team, what's your take on Hero Pass? Like, what do you think the team's taken? I'd be keen to get your perspective on it.
I think because I think that like obviously this was a bit before my time, and my observations on Hero Pass were largely kind of like a bit from the sidelines, kind of seeing what was happening and things. And I've spoken to some of the people on the team around it and things, so I've been trying to get an idea about what happened. I think that, and I'm also conscious of obviously the people working it had the right intentions and were trying to do and did like try to do the best possible work and things like that. So, but I think that the main disconnect was between like kind of expectations of versus what the reality was. So I think there was some kind of like roadmap reveal which hinted at an update in a certain month.
The
which
major
ended up being
update, yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I think that's a lot of the issue is kind of the disconnect between what was expected versus what was delivered, because generally when you see that, obviously you expect it to be like quite a chunky piece of like main game content or something. So I think that obviously
That's a modest take. I don't
put us into a
disagree.
weak position at the beginning.
But a lot of it was
And then
optics.
obviously, like what I've seen from the player feedback and stuff, it didn't really meet kind of like what they're expecting from the update and so on. And I think that ties a lot into what we've been talking about around just making sure we're talking to players
Considering
early
he's
with
been here for a
projects and getting
month,
their feedback
he's
early, so
speaking
we
the
know
game very
if
well.
there is a fundamental issue of what we're building,
Like
we find out
way
earlier,
above what
we
I
can
would
like
expect.
adjust it into something which is actually
I'm
more in
quite
line with what players
impressed.
are actually wanting. So yeah, I think that'd be my main kind of take home from it.
Yeah, I think something I'd also add to that as well. I know like there was a lot of discussion around things like the buffs and obviously the effect of removing daily challenges, and something that we really took from it was like, if you see how we went out and kind of talked about it, we didn't see those issues. And they were something that like some of it had been discussed, and like the player perspective we got from that, there was so much we learned about how players can see things that maybe we just hadn't considered. It's not that we looked at those things and said they're not issues. It's just that, like, for example, I think a really interesting thing that stood out to me was this idea of kind of paid power with the buffs, and the team kind of looking at those and saying, oh, these are a nice additive thing. A lot of our players are on Premier membership, so they're going to get access to this as well. And obviously everyone got access to them. It was just at different charge levels. There was consideration that went into those things, but the community kind of showed us like the real response in that situation, the kind of perspective that we'd missed. That's why I'm really excited for this. Our ability to kind of develop with players involved is, yes, we have a lot of hardcore players at the studio. We have a lot of players at the studio, and the majority of our team play. Many of them read the internet every single day, and are very, very plugged into you as well as themselves as players. But there's always things the players will find. There's always things the players will identify that maybe we haven't considered fully, or haven't caught, or whatever. And it was really, really interesting for me to see that and kind of have that wow moment, like, how did we not catch that? Like, oh, now that they say it kind of makes sense. Jack, I guess to your point, like, is there anything you'd add to that? Like, am I off piece there, or do you kind of agree? Obviously, I'm saying this as a community manager in the middle, but
Yeah, no, I would definitely say like our reaction to Hero Pass was essentially, how did this happen? Like, what have we? Like, obviously, we did something wrong, right? I don't think there's any point bouncing around that. So then the question for us is, what did we do wrong? How do we how do we stop this?
See,
We've
this
done the
is
wrong
so
thing.
good.
We need to make sure this doesn't happen again.
The
It's kind of
top developer
almost a
for
mini
the game,
EOC moment
like,
in that regard.
this is on his radar. They
And
thought
I think
about this. They talked
our
about this.
takeaway internally was, we've just got to talk to the players more, right? And so then that provoked a fairly intense internal discussion at every level of, well, how are we going to talk to the players more? What does this mean? To an extent, it kind of forced us onto the back foot a little bit of how should we be talking about content? Does this mean that, for example, a fairly serious question to ask is, should we be adopting the old school polling system? Would that work better for us? And so there were a lot of internal discussions about how
Bro,
we
he's
should be
farming
approaching
right
content.
now. They're not
To
doing
what
that.
extent
He's
we
just
should
farming
be
right
involving
now.
players in the discussion.
He's
The
literally
answer,
just
as
farming.
Markos has been reiterating, is we need to be involving players a lot more. I think the clear absolute takeaway, I think, that we're now all committed to is our priority has to be shipping like substantial regular content, with the caveat that, like, for various reasons that are quite complicated to get into, but for something like Hero Pass is not what we mean when we say substantial content. We're not talking about something like that. And again, as Markos mentioned earlier, like, a temporary event does not count as substantial content, something like that. So it was an analysis of what are we being told, what's the feedback, how do we avoid doing something like this, and
Yeah, I mean,
that way we can make what players want.
yeah, no, actually, there was a lot of. I remember there being a lot of soul searching for all of us at the studio. Because it's not, if you look back, especially at RuneScape, yes, we've had a couple of moments that have kind of upset the community on a fairly big scale. But like Hero Pass, I think, was just so unexpected for us. There was a bit of a soul searching moment of like what led to this. There was a lot of things I think we learned from it as a team, and not just about the Hero Pass specifically, but just about RuneScape. Like I remember, Jack, one of the things that kind of I always remember back on is, daily challenges, the importance of that as a kind of ritual for so many players that, like, we wanted to change and kind of modify and make better essentially as an experience. Like, that was kind of the idea of the Hero Pass mission system, is something more relative to your play and something that actually was a better experience. But like, that's an example of something that's just embedded in how we all play RuneScape, and we kind of didn't quite. I don't know if this is fair to say, well, Jack, but it feels like
Hi, Marvel.
all of us, myself included, we didn't quite put the weight on that of that ritual in our daily RuneScape lives that actually to some people is kind of part of what RuneScape is to them, right?
Yeah,
and
I think
and those
so,
are the sorts of ways we've changed our thinking in terms of how we look at a lot of content development now, right?
It reminds me of a story very, very early when I first started on RuneScape. I can't remember what the update was now, but it was not long after the dungeoneering, and someone had made an update which just moved one tree. Well, it's not the famous Timbo example, but just one of the trees had moved. I think a tree had moved into the middle of a field or something. And I remember reading a player on the forum saying, like, every day for the last 5 years, I've done the same rune running course, and you've just moved a tree right in the way of me. This is a really annoying update, and it kind of reminds me of that, of like, RuneScape is so much
Bro,
about
I hate
like
that. I hate that.
these rituals, as you put it.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
rituals,
making
yeah.
sure that we are
That's not. They should not have
respecting
to
that
worry
and
about that
protecting
on
the
the
way that
dev
you want to play the
side.
game. Yeah, I
They
would
need
agree
to
with
tell
that.
that person to consume.
If you can believe it, there's still things scapers to learn about you 23 years in. Even with as many veterans as we have on the team, there's always ways you can surprise us, which is amazing. But yeah, I do feel like, on at least on a community side, I can say for sure, I feel like I understand scapers even more than I felt I did before, which is amazing. Right, I'm aware, Markos, we kind of, Jack and I went down the rabbit hole there.
Sorry, I have to go with
talking
Stormy
back
here.
about the past. Let's talk
'Cause
about
he,
this year.
He does do this.
Which are a lot most
or
closer
has
to.
done this before.
So I think it's fair to say we touched on this a little bit. Oh, just before I go any further, for those of you listening live, we are aware you have questions in the JMod questions channel. Don't worry, we're going to get to those in a minute. Got a few more to get through on our side. We'll leave some time for them. Don't worry.
Sorry, Zorby.
But Mod Markos, yeah, I think we touched on it in stream, but this year felt kind of undoubtedly different, I think, to how we've been usually. I felt like we were a lot quieter, and I felt players did as well. I think we all recognise our content cadence took a bit of a dip. Things just generally felt different. Like RuneScape felt different for a few months this year so far. There's a lot of context behind that we haven't had a chance to talk to the players about. So let's chat about it, as I know you're keen to kind of bring players into that story. What's some of the work that's been going on? Like what's been going on over the past couple of months at the studio, and kind of, why did things feel a little bit different in that time?
So there's a degree of recalibration as we kind of re-examined, I guess, like how we make content for the game and how we deliver it, and the stuff we talked about earlier in terms of in terms of how do we get players better involved, what kind of cadence do we want to be hitting with the content, what types of content do you want to be doing, and so on. So the main focus that I've had since I've been working with the team in particular, and this is kind of largely a reflection of more my production background, because I tend to look at it through that lens, is more very much focusing around like how do we deliver the content on a regular basis, and what are we delivering? So, and in particular, just the real focus much more on like delivering as much value as possible to the players.
That's
So, like,
so
how can we
good
build
for
a roadmap
us.
roughly around those principles? And then when I was when I started working with the team again, I was working with Mod Jack quite a bit, and he already had a lot of like strong ideas about what we can do around this. So it was mostly a case of working with Mod Jack and some of the other mods in a small group and just like iterating the roadmap and getting it into really good shape, and trying to make sure that we had effective like guiding principles in terms of the types of content we were making and the regularity, and making sure that
Also, yeah, when
it
he
was
says
strong as
Tim,
possible,
he
that we
means
knew we
Mod
could deliver
Jack.
it, so
Just so you guys
there's
know.
much confidence as possible within any kind of games development environment. Yeah, that's been the main
It's a
thing, is
long
kind of just like
story.
reevaluating like how we're delivering the content and making sure that it's the right types of content delivered regularly enough in the right way, and like there's enough communication with the players and so on.
Yes, we kind of root and definitely in my time here, I've never seen kind of as much of a root and stem kind of reanalysis of how we do everything, really. Which I know obviously you kind of came into the process kind of the later stages of, and kind of put your stamp on it as well, and brought in some
Yep.
learnings from old school. But it has really been a lot of kind of reevaluation from top to bottom, really, hasn't it, about how we operate as a team?
Yeah, and I think that, like I mentioned, like Mod Jack had, a lot of solid plans basically, and it was a question of like iterating from those rather than doing anything from scratch. And then what I tried to be able to do is try and bring some of the practices over from old school, and these would be things that are maybe less visible to the players in terms of just like methods of like how we select projects, and like um, how we like construct the overall roadmap. And generally with old school, we have like quite a long-term plan of what we could do. Obviously, everything's polled, so it's all like it's all like subject to that. But we generally have ideas into the future of like what we're looking to do. So you'll have seen earlier in the year we released Varlamore, but that had been teased for quite a few years in advance. So and then with RuneScape, it will be a question of we kind of like sat down and went over the plans that were already there and like iterated them a bit, and we've shared like the roadmap through to the end of the year. And then the idea is that we already have, a reasonable idea of what we would do through to the middle of next year. And then now it's the question of like iterating that, making sure that the first half of next year is like as good as possible, and then extending it so we have like an idea through to the second half of the year. And then ideally, we'd be able to then talk to the players quite soon around, I say quite soon, this will probably be more like Septemberish time, around like what the major beats are for kind of like 2025 and so on. So trying to build out that longer horizon line, and that ties into kind of what you were saying around just like modifying some of the processes. But generally, the team had really good ideas, and it's like a question of just letting them do it and get on with it as much as possible.
Yeah, it's funny you saying about like I still can't get my own head around, let alone I'm sure for the community, the idea that they're going to hear about 25 content in as early as September. Like it's been a long time since we've been able to do that and done that, so that's going to be really cool. Mod Jack, is there anything you want to add? Just conscious about the kind of what's been going on over the past few months. Do you feel like Markos covered anything? Was there anything you wanted to add?
No, yeah, I think that mostly covers it. Yeah, just I think we are all. Just want to re-emphasize that we are all committed to like making sure that we're shipping content and making sure that we're doing more to incorporate player voice into what we do via whatever the best way we can do that for the particular case, like the project. The ones I'm most excited for are where we can just put the whole design out there and openly discuss it, as early as possible. But we can't do that with a quest, for example. But for a scaling update, that might make perfect sense. So I'm quite excited for Sponge. Sponge is going to be he's going to be putting some weapon effects on a beta so that people can try them out, and that's such a good way to do it, because we always have such a problem with like balancing post-launch. That was such a topic of discussion for the FSOA, where because the effect kind of went live, it has such a weird effect on the economy if we make changes to it post-launch. So doing that pre-launch is such a good, like, even if we can't put the entire update on a beta, which is kind of impractical, we can just put that one critical element on a beta. That's a really efficient
Yeah,
way
it's
of dealing
so cool.
with the scariest element of the update. So yeah, I'm really excited for
Yeah,
us
I'm
doing more of that
excited. I'm
kind of
so
thing.
excited for players to essentially go, yeah, I want that T95 kind of feeling, and for
Yeah.
us to not put it out there and then be like, oh, it's not quite hitting what it doesn't feel like it's meeting the kind of thing they had in their head, or maybe from a balance perspective isn't quite there. Like, it's gonna be really, really cool to do. I'm really excited to do that, and look out for more on that next week. If you're listening to that, this on the 17th of May. We're going to be having a stream next week on the 21st of May with Sponge and Mod Ryan to talk about Sanctum of Rebirth and also some of the ways that you can start providing us feedback. We're going to open up some topics on that, so stay tuned. There's a couple of quick things I just want to talk about from a community perspective, just to add to your answers, really. I think the first thing is, like, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who was kind of bearing with us over the kind of months where we were quieter. Because we were doing that root and stem review, there was some kind of careful communication about what we could say and when that came into play. And I know it was really frustrating to not hear much from us, and we desperately wanted to. We were talking about how do we bring you on this journey, and then we felt like that would raise more questions. I think the main thing to know is we've set ourselves up now, not just on the development side, as Markos and Jack have been talking about. I'll never get used to calling you Mod Jack. But even from a community side, like, we're now in a position where I think from a communication standpoint, we're working with Mod Markos to have kind of the things that you need to hear and when you need to hear it, when it comes to things like content announcements, or even when it comes to how early we announce our projects. These are all things that we're working on holistically now. So rather than kind of communication kind of working around the projects as we often did, now we're kind of working closely together. We're all kind of part of the same unit, which is amazing, and I think you'll feel that, and I hope you will. But the main thing is just thank you for that quieter period. We know it was frustrating, and it was difficult to do that. We wanted to kind of bring you and keep you informed, but there's certain ways we have to do things at certain times, and we appreciate all of you. I think the second thing is what I hope you'll see from us this year on the communication front isn't just around development. Now that we're in a position to kind of have, this great kind of more player involved development and working, we're also trying to bring more consistent communication alongside that. So what you're going to see from us this year is kind of the return of weekly live streams. Might take us a while to get there, but we're setting up to do that again. We're also going to try and do more fun live streams, more things that are not what you always see when it comes to kind of what we've been focusing on lately, which is content announcements or sharing development insight, but just getting things like JVM happening again, having more fun with the community. You can see us support creators a lot more. I know many of you love creators out there, and creators have their own incredible communities.
Okay, I think it's possible
for RuneScape, and deserve for us to give back to them as well for the communities they build within RuneScape itself. And that's not just people who create videos or stream, but we're talking artists and community leaders. We're really trying to do more there. I think most of all, what I hope you feel from us this year is a lot more kind of openness and honesty and transparency in terms of on the regular, right? Like, we've always tried to be that, but I hope you see more, you'll feel more kind of calls like this where we kind of have a Discord stage and talk a little bit more chilled out and bring you into it. And I hope this feels like a good start. We just got to keep it up. But yeah, it's been exciting for us as well to kind of rebuild from the ground up as well. So, right, back to the guest star, because I want to make sure we've got some time for some questions. I just want to ask you one more question, Markos.
What are those? Sorry.
What's your kind of vision for RuneScape as it stands? I know you are newly on the team, and I know it's very much a team-built thing. But if you had to describe it right now, what would you kind of describe it as?
That's a good question. I think that some spoilers potentially if I go into that too much. I think that at a high level, I would say that I want to make sure the game's set up to be as successful as possible for as long as possible. So trying to create like a really compelling like long-term plan for like what the game is and where it's going and things like that, and making sure that's better communicated to the players so they really believe in it. That's kind of like what I'm trying to head towards. I know that sounds a little bit fluffy, but we want to be able to communicate something probably in a bit more detail in a few months, I suspect, more along those lines. And then also when we're looking at like what's in, say, the 2025 roadmap or 2026, it's going to be, that will be beginning to tie more into that kind of type of overall vision for the game, I think, as well.
Brilliant, that's great. I guess let's get to some community questions. So I'm aware we don't have a lot of time, but thank you for sharing with that. And it's also worth saying, it was mentioned earlier, I forgot to add on, Markos was talking about our 2025 planning. Obviously, we have a picture that we've built for 2025 that's very much in progress, but it won't be finalized, and we won't kind of make our final plan for what we're doing in 25 without your help. and that's through the survey. We've had an incredible, and I mean incredible, amount of completions on that survey. It has blown us away. It's a very big survey. If you haven't gone and done it already, it does take time. Some people have taken as much of an hour on it. I hope that's not the average, but hey, if you enjoy it, that's all that matters. But the survey that we put out is very different to the other surveys you've experienced. The other surveys we've done have been very much kind of a check and wanting to get an understanding of how you
It took
felt
me
about
2
recent
hours.
content. How about kind of give us a bit of guidance on what we're doing well and not doing well. This is very different. This is about where could we go? What do you feel about this? What do you feel about that
Oops.
direction? It's really a guiding force for us. And if there's one thing you do in the community this year, as much as I want to hear from you all the time, and I want you out
Omens
there
took
chatting
3, yeah,
amongst
but
each
he's got
other and creating the
cataracts.
amazing
It's kinda
community that
different.
you are, it's to go fill out that survey, because it really will be, this is going to be one of the crucial things that will help us kind of build that 25 roadmap and build it in a way that feels like it's informed by what you're looking to see
Hi
from
Doom,
RuneScape.
how are you?
So it really is that important.
Good to see you.
It's not like it's not me overstating this. It is something that will be a core part of our planning. So please do complete it out, and it will also help us forward. And thank you for all the kind comments, by the way. A lot of you have said how amazing that survey was. A lot of people worked so hard on that thing. If it took you an hour to complete, think of how long it took to put together, and it means a lot to everyone that you felt so passionately about it and about how good it was. So thank you for that. Right, into our last 10 minutes. So let's get to some questions. I'm going to go into... Okay, this first one I should have expected, that I've seen that seems to have the most upvotes I can see. Oh, actually, there's a higher one. Let's go with that first. Pi is asking, are there many interesting trends on the survey so far, at least that you'd be willing to share at this point?
I've got a great one. Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Oh yeah, you go for it.
The looking at the early data, so the data's not all in yet, but looking at the early data, woodcutting and fletching is very popular. I'm excited.
Yeah, supposedly is. Yeah, it's very interesting. Markos, was there anything you wanted to add beyond what?
I've only seen some fairly basic data so far on it. So mostly the bits I've seen so far have just been around like feedback on the roadmap for coming 6 months. The bit I'm really interested to see though was obviously there were some various ideas suggested for things that could be done over the next couple of years and stuff. So I'm particularly keen to see kind of what the responses were to those.
Brilliant. There's a lot of questions to go through. I'm trying to organise by upvotes as best I can. There is a question I also should have expected. Someone is asking about player avatar refresh. Obviously, it wasn't in our roadmap. Is there any thoughts we have on that right now? Obviously, it's always been something that since we kind of showed it in development has been popular. Do you have any initial thoughts on it, Markos, or is it too early to say from your short time on the team?
I need to get a clearer idea because I know it gets brought up quite a lot from seeing the chat and the social media and stuff. I need to get an idea around where the project is and like how expensive it is to do, because I think it's quite a complex,
That's
large
fair.
project.
That's very
So
fair.
I need to get an idea about where we are in development and how much work's
You
left.
can't do
and then,
consistent updates if you
basically,
take
as
half the
always,
dev
it's a
team to do
trade-off if
this
you do
for
that.
a
There's a lot
year.
of other stuff you can't do, so we need to weigh that.
Oh
up.
yes.
Oh my god, guys.
I am interested into seeing more detail about what the project is and what its possibilities are.
Yeah, I think when I look back, the one thing I love about that is
Legos is a baller.
it was one of the first projects we were like did that kind of open development community involvement thing on, really. Like it's kind of like where we are going to be moving forward. So it's really interesting from that perspective, that it kind of, because of that, there's a lot of personal attachment to it, on top of the fact that, you know, obviously it's a great idea of a piece of content, albeit with a lot of technical issues between us and bringing it to life. But Jay Vampire asks, would you ever make the community hit list openly available for everyone to see and comment on?
Interesting. Yeah, we have discussed doing things like that before. The challenge is how it operates generally in terms of like what software you use and like how you make it visible or manage people's expectations around stuff actually getting done. But yeah, that is something we've discussed before, and it could be of interest. But we need to see how feasible it is to do it in a way that isn't like quite misleading potentially.
Yeah, we had a call with QA who have been raising this as an idea as well just today. yeah, it's a really cool idea. Like you said, there's a lot of considerations with it, but definitely from a community angle, not closed either. That's what I'd add to that. The RS guy asked something that's getting a lot of upvotes, and I think I saw in chat a lot, so this is a really good one for you.
Oh yeah.
With
we-
all the
we
planned
banged.
content in the roadmap, it seems like the majority of projects are very early in development. Is there any concern that you won't be able to meet the announced production schedule, or are you feeling confident about that aspect of it?
The eternal question of games development, I think. At the moment, we're confident, but obviously the priority generally will be to release things in the best possible state.
Yes,
So
that's
we
what I
don't
like.
want to, for example, release something hypothetically in September if we know it's not right and it's not good enough. Like it's better for us to delay it than release it in a suboptimal state. And the other thing we don't want to do is force the team to do extra hours and stuff to hit dates.
Dude, I love
Because
that
they were
too.
unforeseen
That's
things
really
that required extra
important.
work, which meant the original date wasn't possible. So we'll try and hit those dates as much as possible, but being transparent, it is games development.
There have been so many
there's
projects in the
always
last
a risk that
set
some of
of
those things will
years
slip a bit. But the
that
goal is
only
to do
come
all
out
those things,
okay
as we
because the
said.
devs worked really, really long days and worked nights.
Rick,
and
I think
do not
there was
like
also,
that.
you know, a
So
lot
this
of
is really
scoping
good.
work and keen production work that went into to that before we announced the roadmap as well,
Like
right? So we're
Zamrock
going
was
in,
insane.
at least in the state we're in a state of confidence. And as you said, then the reality is of game development, you never know what might be around the corner. But
Yes,
it is
was all-
highly
all
considered,
ratified,
isn't it,
yeah.
Markos?
Yes, it was all ratified by production. They went through and scoped it and things. Yeah.
Yeah. So, right, I do want to say, you may notice Mod Jack fall off the call because Mod Jack had a hard cut 5 minutes before the end of our show. So goodbye to Mod Jack. Thank you
Gonna
for.
go now. Bye bye. Thank you.
Goodbye, Mod Jack. So goodbye. Right. So I'm if you are asking questions, please use the upvote feature because we're going down. I'm trying to pick out the ones I'm noticing have the most upvotes, given that we have a limited amount of time. Just going up really high to make sure I didn't miss any. No, it doesn't look like I did. Okay, so the next one I'm seeing with
God.
a lot of upvotes. It's another player avatar refresh one. People asking, there's quite a lot of questions about how's this doing in the survey, how's that doing in the survey. That's probably not the right kind of questions to ask here,
It's a
mainly
good
because it's
question.
ongoing now. But it's good to know you would like to hear what kind of our outcomes are from the survey. That's something we can take away and think about for sure. But I think we'll point things that we can more put at VOD Markos that are not things in progress. Speaking of which, 4XXP has asked, OSRS is borrowing some RuneScape 3 devs to help with sailing. Are there any plans for RuneScape 3 to borrow old school RuneScape devs to help with projects like Group Iron Man?
I want Shogun back.
Not at the moment, but what we tend to do is the devs that worked on Group Iron Man for old school are consulting on the project. Is probably the best way to describe it. So they've been advising the RuneScape team on how it was implemented and making recommendations on best approach and so on.
Good, yeah. I know Group Iron Man obviously is something we have another game to leverage from and see how they did it, though with a lot of our own custom work to go into it. I should stress that it's not an easy thing for us to go build. It's not like a drag and drop by any means. And I want to say that for our tech team, who would kill me if I ever give that insinuation, because our tech team have a lot of work between here and there to get done.
It's a very
Ariane's.
complex project, man.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
very
it is
complex
very.
project,
Yeah, very. Ariane is asking, are there any plans in the future to potentially give some love to the clan system, whether it be as little as some nice quality of life updates, interface tweaks, or full-blown changes to things like the Citadel?
So we have actually discussed some of that internally quite recently. We are looking at options for clans to see what is feasible, and then again, as always, we need to weigh it up against other stuff in the roadmap to see is the updating the clan system, is that more valuable than other types of updates we can do? But it is something we've discussed a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of clannies happen to hear that. You're always in our minds, clannies. We're always talking about you. It's something that clans are a common topic at the show, I can tell you that. M_with_Z asks a question that I've seen a lot of people ask in various different forms. I believe in the live stream, there was a mention that RS3 would not have polls like the OSRS community. In what methods are we expected to be able to communicate our feedbacks on topics? So essentially, I think the summation of the question that I'm seeing, mostly everywhere is, if we're not going to be a poll-led game like OSRS or a very deeply involved poll game like OSRS, what's your kind of vision for how players will be involved with development?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think some of that is to be established over time. So it'd be particularly working with yourself, Mod Hooli, I think. So it would be
Mhm.
it would be via channels like such as Discord and things where we would try and gather more kind of empirical data, I guess, in terms of like what players' feedback is and making sure that it's aligned with kind of what players are looking for in it. There are any concerns they've got with the update are properly addressed. Polling system is it's very much like an old school thing. It works really well for old school, but I think transplanting it directly over to RuneScape may not quite work. And I think that there are other methods we can use to try and get community feedback and make sure it's integrated into the process, which give a bit more flexibility to the roadmap and so on.
Yeah, brilliant. I think, yeah, just to add, you were saying from a community perspective, I'd describe it as it's going to be a lot more of a verbal kind of, I think OSRS is also very verbal, but we're going to focus a lot on kind of bringing you into the conversation, bringing you into design, working out really great ways that we can involve as many people as possible and kind of having a voice in the shaping of our content. And we'll do that at various stages for different projects. We'll have different approaches, but we're going to really put a focus on kind of dev to player interaction, and that's kind of we're going to use feedback to inform. I think another thing I'd be personally keen to see, really excited that we're using a beta for what's coming up with Sanctum of Rebirth to kind of test some ideas around weapons. That's something we've not really ever done before that I'm aware of. Definitely thinking about how we use betas to do cool things like that. More remote play tests, things like that, I think are all things we're thinking about for sure.
Playtest champ?
Yeah, and I think it's
Conscious.
also worth.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, one final thing. I think it's also worth noting that the polling system is only part of the process with old school.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you have the polling process, but then actually we spend more time doing like dev blogs and the iteration cycle around those rather than the poll itself. And the poll tends to be focused very much more on like the reward structure necessarily rather than like aspects of the content. So I think that I think we can still pretty heavily involved with the community on the updates we're doing.
All right, I'm gonna leave you one last question before I do the outro and wrap this up. This is a question we get a lot in and out of the show. Inverted skill capes? Question mark. Are they on your radar, Mod Markos?
They are now. I'd not heard of them until the other day. So yeah, it was quite interesting. I thought when we were like doing the live stream today, and everyone kept going on about inverted skill capes. I had to ask basically what they were. So yes, we have discussed them.
He's only been here for a month. That's fair.
I think we'll explore options around that probably.
So there you have it, Scapers. The inverted skill capes are on our minds, even if they weren't on our roadmap for this year. We are definitely talking about them. Mod Markos, obviously it is time to start wrapping up the show and let you go and enjoy your weekend after a very long week. Is there anything you'd like to say to the community before we wrap up or add?
Yeah, so it's well, thanks for kind of coming along to this. I wasn't really expecting quite so many people, so thanks for like bearing with us and
Wait till he sees the Twitch numbers. What? Oh my god, I went AFK.
Support over the last few months. I realised it's
That's
been
fine, fix it.
A challenging period for
Wait,
quite a few
we have
players.
the
Obviously,
same
been waiting to
viewership
kind of get a lot
in the
more
Twitch
confirmation about
stream
what's going
as
on
the
and so on.
Discord stage.
So I think it's exciting times ahead, but yeah, just please bear with us. Obviously, there's we'll be ramping up over the next few months, but already in recent weeks we've had some really good updates, I think. So really excited to what we can do in the future and looking forward to spending more time with you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. I think, Scapers love to hear from the kind of the people at the front of the game, thinking about the future of the game, and I think it's been a pleasure to have you on, Mod Markos. My first time hosting as well. First time in the studio for a stream, and now first time hosting a Discord stage. But here we are. It's been a week at first, but thank you so much, Mod Markos, for being part of this and for taking the time on your Friday among the 2 games you work across to speak to the community. I think I speak for everyone in chat to say a big thanks. So to anyone who's not joining us live as well, thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. Whether you listened to us live or you joined us after the fact, we'd love to know what you think about this format. We're trying to kind of mix up between live streams and this. Kind of live streams as the more of a show aspect where we're kind of doing something more specific, even if it's just something like JVM. And then these is more casual chat where we can just talk to you, bring you inside the studio, some of our thinking and where we're going. So please do let us know. And other than that, I think it's been a pleasure to have you here. And we'll see you all soon again, Scapers. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, folks.
Bye, everyone.
Right, now as
To-
Anna's stopped the recording, I'll do a bit of an outro thing. Markos, thank you so much for
Alright.
being here. Feel free to drop out.
Thank you.
I'll do some post show. I'll do a post show thing. I don't mind.
If you want post show, I'll keep the recording going.
No, we
but I-
should have post show recording.
Okay, I'll stop.
But yeah, so
Alright.
chat. I guess my question to all of you is like, so this is a format you quite like, and we should be doing. I like how people are saying Hooli after dark. I mean, kind of. I mean, I'm just sitting here training Herblore.
I do think it's worth mentioning that, like,
I'm
We'll
hosting
get you the
Herblore.
good bottle of
I still
scotch
think they
and
should
we'll
be
just see where
streaming
it
these
goes,
too,
yeah.
but I very much get it.
This is the way to my heart.
I get it.
To Hooli's point about this show, we plan to upload the recordings of these shows to our channel in the near future, so that this stage and the previous 3 stages will be uploaded hopefully next week. Don't hold me to it, but we aim to get this out so that players can listen back to it at their own leisure.
Yeah, brilliant. Interesting. Okay, thanks for all the great feedback. I miss Modley's weekly patch note videos. Connor, have you looked at our YouTube channel? I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised, Connor.
They're literally back.
Herblore level Hooli. I am one. Am I 113 or 114? 114 right now. 114. So that's very good. But yeah, noob. Hey, look. When I joined, I got so much flack for not being maxed. I am maxed, and then some. I got a total level of 2928. I've come a long way, community. So
Max, what was it? November last year, or
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I got my 20-year cape just after I maxed. So yeah, because I joined in December 2003. So yeah, it would have been November that I maxed. I was trying to max before my 20-year.
if anyone wants to slag off at JMod for low levels, you can laugh at me. I don't even have 199. Doom has
Yeah.
at least 99 agility, and I think rune crafting.
Can I ask chat? Was it particularly good to have this with double XP? I didn't think about it when we put this together because we were just thinking about kind of a live stream post show. We wanted to have that kind of feeling of expanding on it. So is it good to? Okay, interesting. It might be interesting to fill double XP with like Discord stages. It's like the AFK skilling shows sort of thing. The only thing is how many of you have double XP left by the end of this weekend?
Bro, you can
That's what I
chill.
want to know.
Are
Like
you
if we
gonna
organize
chill?
a week of like Discord stages or something, how many of you actually have double XP left by like midweek?
Is this 100% necessary, Doom? Go ahead, little bro.
I
Post about inverted
definitely
capes
can't
again.
multitask. I have to pay too much focus to.
I'm
what's
being
going on in
threatened.
Chat that
I'm being
haven't
threatened.
I was
Help.
trying to do hunter dummies, and just like every 5 minutes, my brain would remind me. It's like, oh, by the way, you haven't been clicking a hunter dummy for 5 minutes now. So I've stopped wasting my DXP time, and we'll do it all later.
Some people asking. I'm not going to turn this into a big Q&A, but I did see. Obviously, I'm interacting with you, chat, because you're awesome. I saw some people asking about RuneFest throughout the show. We don't really have any update beyond what we already said. RuneFest is still on, but we're figuring a lot of things out.
RuneFest
A
is
great
still
person
on.
to follow is ModMark on Twitter. And ModMark's going to be kind of been tweeting about what's going on, but like yeah, there's nothing really to update you on. If there's anything important, you'll hear about it. But yeah, it's all we're at the moment. There's nothing new to say. Basically, unfortunately, I don't have anything to add on that.
Okay, well, I'm glad they're saying it's still on, though. They're not saying we're not sure. They're saying it's still on. That's really, really good.
I haven't been to one myself, so I'm really hoping everything lines back up.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. There's an interesting thing about why only 2 quests on the roadmap. Sorry, I just wanted to touch on that. I saw a couple people mention it. It's like obviously we just had Requiem, which I hope you all loved as much as I did. It's something that we'll always be thinking about, right? So this is the first roadmap of this kind of new generation. I don't want to overstate this. A lot of work has gone into like the RuneScape that we've built for the future now, and a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that Markos was talking about that we've gone through in the past few months that have been really, really significant. I think like it's something we're going to keep an eye on. There's a big thing that Markos was touching on about variety, and that what we're trying to do is we want to serve lore hounds, we want to serve skillers, we want to serve
Please don't
bossers and
say clues.
PVMers.
Please don't say clues.
We want to kind of give something for everyone, and I think I can say with confidence we'll be closely looking at like how people feel. Like if people come to the end of this and like questers, we just don't
The
feel like
goat.
we're getting enough quests.
The
That might be
goat.
something we look at. There's a trade-off to everything, right? We can't do everything all at once, but
They're saying
it's
clues.
something
I'm
we'll
saying
look
who?
at. Don't forget there will be seasonal quests. But yeah,
Got
just
'em.
bear in mind we're always going to keep an eye on like
What's with the
do
hate
we
for
feel like we're
clues? It's a
giving
joke.
enough
It's
to everybody.
all a joke.
That's kind of the philosophy of RuneScape going forward.
is
I
a
think
joke.
it's fair to
Don't-
say
don't
is like
worry about it.
variety and something for every kind of player. Yeah, that could
Yeah, it was,
include clues.
No.
Clue scrollers, it could do, right? It could do.
It could, but it won't. It could, but it
Plans,
won't. It could, but it
I think
won't.
we're coming to that like social play, right?
It could, but it won't. Don't worry.
This year we've got a game mode.
Definitely.
Who says if it will be a game mode that's a big thing next year for us, right? Something different that serves. It could be a big clans thing. Who knows, right? So
Ruined.
yeah, we're
it's
just trying to give
something
something for everyone.
Yeah, it's definitely something that came up with the seasonal event stuff is because we had done Christmas this year and Easter and now we're going to be doing Halloween. That's quite a lot of stuff that needs to get done in those particular months. But now the following year, it should be more easy. It should be easier to add to those things while also still doing possibly a quest, possibly an update to plans, possibly whatever we can think of to fit into those sections as well.
Thank you for the
It's
raid. I appreciate it.
It's managing resources, surprise, surprise. This game is all about managing resources.
Well, anything is in development as well. So we need more love and updates to the old mini games. Yeah, I think I'm really interested to see whether because I think mini games are mentioned in the survey, aren't they? Or am I misremembering?
Basically everything's mentioned in the survey.
Yeah,
That was something I
basically
found
everything.
really fun with quests. It was like, oh, I think there was a question that was, how many quests do you want to see in a year? And I think it was like from 0 to 10. And I think I gave the feedback of maybe we should truncate this and make it like 1 to 3.
Wait,
2
you
to,
completed the
whatever.
survey. You completed the
No.
survey.
No.
Oh.
When Bam asked us to review it all.
Oh
I
yeah.
I had reviewed the questions and I was like, if we leave it as 10 quests a year as a tick box, and if everyone just ticks that box,
But then
it's
we're
like,
doomed.
I don't know how many of those quests then we can do. It's like, I don't know, we just do a whole quest chain.
Do you know what I just realised? Is this the first time the community have heard your voice, Azana? Some people are asking about your accent.
This
In
would
a
be
very
the first
polite way.
time they've heard my voice. I've popped up a couple times in the previous
He's done
stages, but
interviews
I
with
haven't
in the
been
previous
players
stages.
too. Like he's done
Because
a
I
Pride
usually tune
Slayer
into those
one.
about 10 minutes in, so that's probably why I miss you. Okay, good. I was like, oh, well, it's a voice reveal moment as well for Mod Azana.
Yeah.
Or whatever all those
Yeah,
reveals are now.
For anyone trying to place my accent, I am Irish, but not very good at it.
I am. Someone said Doom, Hooli, Azana, JVM journey. That'd be good. I saw some people saying Group Iron Man. I'm definitely going to try and do something. I think we should do like some sort of kind of Jagex playing Group Iron Man stream series or video series or something.
That'd be
It'd be
so
quite fun to see a bunch of us mods trying to hang in Group Iron Man. I think I'd be quite interested. Especially when we get to the point where you're trying to complete some of the harder PVM group content later. Could be fun.
I can't say imp because I'm in
Doom,
slow
that's a
mode.
big game. You
I've
haven't got a
seen
0
Doom play a fair
KC
mod. I
grim
think-
like
I
me.
think it'll be nice.
Also, Doom saying he's in despite
So I don't have that
saying
grim
yesterday
anymore.
that he
Mod Spear
already
has
has a
it.
team.
So.
Doom.
Oh dear. Stormy asking, are there any considerations to pay big OSRS creators to play group?
Surely they say no. No.
Definitely not a current conversation. Let's not say anything though. I just think we haven't talked about that yet. I think the main thing for us when we think about Group Iron Man, when it comes to creators, is like there's a lot of conversations we're having at the moment about how we think about creators more in what we do in terms of like. And again, I want to stress when I say creators, I mean artists, fashion scapers. Like we're talking every kind of creator. we've been putting a lot of focus recently on like how do we get better free cam tools, how do we consider different ways we could make more creator centric design, and just little things we could do in the delivery of our content that can make it better for people who want to create,
See,
say, a YouTube series or
I'm glad
want to
he's
maybe do
allowed to
something
talk about
interesting
this
with
because
edible
I was
outfits or
told I'm
something. I
not
don't
allowed
know.
to talk
Like
about this. So
we're trying to think about all these different ways that we can make RuneScape a better place to create, and we see Group Iron Man as like an important part of that picture, and some things to get to that as an important part. So we've got Game Jam coming up. I'm hoping some of the team have been inspired by some of the things we've recently been putting around, and we might see some cool free cam improvements get developed, or many of the other ideas we potentially have to improve these things. But we're definitely thinking about that sort of work, and Group Iron Man for us, I think, is a great place to create, no matter what kind of creator you are. And so we want to make sure that we have the right tools in place when we get there. Hopefully, again, as Markos said, all things in balance, right? So, yeah. Oh God, I've AFK'd too long on. I'm XP waste. XP waste. Oh God. Yeah, I'm just sitting in
Well, I'm
Priff
gonna
at the moment.
leave you to your
Oh
priffing.
no, I should hang up as well.
Weekend.
The longer this post show goes, the more dangerous I get in what I talk about. So, but
Well,
thank you everyone for joining us. Seriously, it's been an amazing turnout. I'm glad you had a lot of fun. I hope we can do more of these in future. Strike,
what are we
strike.
leaking?
I have a thing I'm gonna mention.
Just that it's
after
a joke because
this.
I was saying about the later we go in, I'll leak something. But thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy Double XP. Thanks for joining us and being part of our Discord community. Coming in, if you haven't done this before as well, I hope you enjoyed coming to Discord for this sort of thing. We'll look for more casual shows like this as well. I kind of like this idea of an after dark and like a post show as well. So maybe we'll do it at some point. But with that, goodbye, everyone. I'm waving at the camera. You can't see me. That's the kind of until it's Friday. I need to go home. Take care, everyone. See you soon, and we'll have this posted at some point. I guess early next week, Azana. Probably have the upload posted.
Plan would be for next week. Yeah, hopefully by midweek.
I like the shift from me saying early next week to next week. but Azana giving himself buffer. It's a good decision.
Here, you know how many other things we have to do next week. I ain't committing.
I
to
know.
something.
Oh, and last thing, everyone who is on a call with me at Jagex will know that's a catchphrase of mine. One last thing. I'm always continuing extending calls like this. Don't forget that on Tuesday we will have that live stream about the combat content that we've got coming up, the new boss dungeon, as we're calling them. Please do join that because that'll be really cool. We're going to kind of just set things up, introduce you to the content a little bit, and that's when obviously you'll get to give us some feedback on things like that new death system that was being alluded to. For that content specifically, I should stress before anyone panics that we're talking universal new death system for that to use in boss dungeons, among many other things. So yeah, please do join us for that, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.
Bye, folks.
The Discord stage closes and it just shows my like IRL name, phone number, address. Okay. Wow, that was pretty good. I will say, and I think myself and a lot of other content creators really pushed that. Like, I thought it would be really cool if they streamed these Discord stages, just because like it's funnels people to the Discord even more effectively if that's what the goal is. But also you can keep it very informal. But I know there are a lot of kind of permutations with running a stream that are kind of sorry, Mod Hooli's writing me. That are kind of, it gets a little more complicated when they have to run a Jagex stream, and it gets a lot more complex. That being said, I think in the future, if they're just doing these stages, I'm happy to just stream them. Like, I'm super down to do that. Because yeah, it seemed like it worked out pretty well. I got to take notes, all the other stuff. But yeah, one thing I was gonna say, and I'm really kind of surprised actually that Mod Hooli mentioned this, but he mentioned better in-game camera tools. So I guess I can talk about this now. I feel like embargo's been lifted if he's talking about it already. So first off, someone in the chat was like, Ryan's a J-mod. I am not a J-mod, but they have approached me for some consultancy stuff specifically related to creator needs. So effectively, it's the kinds of things that creators would need to make the best content they possibly can to help grow the game. So 2 weeks ago, last week I gave a talk to the dev team. It was like a 30-minute presentation where I went over a number of things. I can't talk about the specifics of it, obviously. But the idea is that we've got some of the developers are going to be picking up creator-related projects for Game Jam, hopefully. And one of the things that we discussed at length was I did kind of a deep dive of what the current camera system looks like and what all the limitations are and how that makes it harder for creators to make content. So anyway, I was shocked that he brought that up because it feels very, very early stages, but if he's going to bring it up, I'm in. So yeah, anyway, I'm hoping that some really cool stuff comes out of that because my biggest hope in all of this is by the time Group Iron Man comes out, there's also a really awesome suite of creator tools so that once the actual content comes out that's awesome for creators, the tools exist as well and they work together to make some really, really good stuff. So yeah, anyway, I just did want to mention that's sort of a little bit about that, and I feel comfortable talking about it because yeah. Yeah, all of that sounds really, really good. Sorry, someone asked me about Alt-1 and clues. I think clues should be less locked to Alt-1. I think what they should do is just do what Old School did and make all the puzzles a lot shorter. Because Old School and RuneScape 3 had the same issue with puzzles and people using solvers. And what RS3 did is they made the puzzles longer. This is a fact, by the way. They made the puzzles longer so that the time balancing was good even if you used a solver. But then as a result of that, if you don't have a solver, you have the worst time of your life. What Old School did is they made the slider puzzles, they brought them down from like 100 steps to like 20 or 30 steps. So that if you don't have a solver, you can still do clue scrolls. That's what I would like to see RuneScape 3 do. But I'm also not a cluer. I do not speak for the cluers, and I would love it if they spoke for themselves and advocated for themselves because I don't clue very much. This was a long time ago, by the way, like a very, very long time ago. But yeah, if anyone else has any questions for me, I'm happy to do a very quick kind of chat about that. But yeah, I thought that was really good. Question for you guys. What did you think about me restreaming the Discord stage? Some of the kind of mods are asking me. I got the impression you guys liked it. I got the impression it was good. Very nice, very good. Liked it. I thought it was a good way to do it just because some people don't want to join a Discord. W restream, loved it, liked it a lot. Cool, cool, cool. Would have missed it otherwise. This was great. Very glad you streamed it. I'm banned from the Discord. Okay, don't say that. With love, I'd rather get to see it on an official stream without commentary. Oh, I totally agree. Once again, like I pushed for, I thought it would be good for them to stream it, but them streaming it, it's complicated. As soon as it becomes a stream, it becomes very different in terms of how they have to set it up and advertise it and work on it and everything else. So, to me, that's one of those things that like completely agree with you. But I did ask for permission to restream it, and they said I was allowed to. So that is why I restreamed it. And it'll also, if you want to rewatch it, it'll be on !VODS. I'll be uploading it to the VOD channel later today, so it will exist in perpetuity, so you guys can check it out and all that stuff. Can I say anything about plugins and add-ons? I'm glad it was mentioned in the survey. My understanding is like if a lot of players express that would be cool, maybe it sorry. Maybe it happens. That would be my hope, but I don't know anything other than like I can only speak for the things I've been advocating for. I've been advocating for a lot of creator tools. I've been advocating for a lot of and a lot of this too isn't me just saying do plugins. It's sort of explaining what the benefit of these plugins are and what problems that it allows creators or players to fix for themselves. It's more of an education standpoint than of me pushing for things because I'm not a Jagex developer. I don't work for the company. I'm a consultant, so that is sort of the extent of it. But at very least, it's something that I've brought up, so it's on some people's radars. But yeah, no, I don't think Hooli intentionally dodged the question. My guess, and you have to do this when you're taking community questions, is sometimes you just don't have a clear answer on things because the plugins, it also ties into unlocking the API, and there are lots of kind of ongoing discussions about this. So what he would have said is, I can't really speak on it more, but we're having discussions about everything. And then everyone who asked the question would have said, okay, that's a useless answer. So that would have been why he would have skipped it. Can I say anything about the state of Oregon? Honestly, I think Portland's on the up. It couldn't possibly get worse. Did anyone ask about unified collection logging? No, I don't think so. That feels kind of like it was a little out of scope maybe, but yeah, I don't know. Do I think it's worth it for RuneScape to open up their API? So worth it is a word, and that depends on the cost of it, right? I don't know the cost of it. To me, as a player, it's really easy to sit here and be like, totally, they should do it, because I do think it would benefit the game. But does the cost outweigh the benefit? I don't know about that. Why did you pronounce Oregon like it's a shape? I don't know what that means. Help. But yeah, any other questions? It's Oregon, oregano. Don't want plugins introducing stuff like markers and quest helper stuff. Yeah, there's always a fine line, right? Like arguably old school's gone too far on one side, and then RS3's too far on the other side, where people are trying to make tools but have a very limited set of things they can use to make those tools. So yeah, I think something in the middle is probably good. Fix the buff bar. Yeah, so something that, and once again, this is not like, I know literally nothing about what's in development or what they're working on or what the objectives are, but a lot of with the talk that I gave last week and the presentation I gave, I talked about a lot of the stuff that you guys have had issues with. Because if I'm doing creator focused stuff, right? And a lot of people tell me it's impossible to follow the game because the buff bar is impossible to follow and requires a lot of scanning. Things that are related to interface, things that are related to visual clarity, like if those are things that impact your guys' ability to watch a content creator, or they're things that impacts a creator's ability to tell a good story, those are both things that would be on my radar, or things that I would have brought up. But once again, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be picked up. Like I'm not a developer by any means, but just if you're wondering if these are things that are on their radar, I can say that yes, they are on their radar. At very least. Why am I playing with the game on safe mode? It's because it was because of the Discord stage. I had so much stuff open that I just had everything on low quality. Sorry, this was my second monitor activity. So yeah. My bad. If they had plugins, what will happen to RuneMetrics? Hopefully, like, okay. So the thing about RuneMetrics, and they said this during the stage in the chat, I believe Azana mentioned it, or it was Doom that mentioned it. RuneMetrics, the reason they're so expensive is the way the data is stored is just very expensive on Jagex, and it's possible that it's done in an inefficient way. I don't really know, but if there was an unlocked API and the ability to make custom tools that did these things and stored them locally, I would imagine RuneMetrics would just die, and that wouldn't be a bad thing. That makes sense? Do I have the manor farm teleport? I do not. I can watch an FF stream without any knowledge of the game and know when someone's doing good damage just by looking at what's happening. Even in 50 years of experience at RuneScape, I can't follow the streams. Yeah, no, and a lot of that stuff is stuff that, like, I mean, I agree. There's a reason I'm using a crop interface. There's a reason that, yeah, like, once again, I think that this is my personal opinion, and that's all this is. So please don't think about this in any other terms than that. The way that I think about it is, I think for the last number of years, the game has been built partially without watchability in mind and readability in mind, which isn't good. And that's some of the stuff that Sponge and Ryan and team are trying to correct with the combat changes. But I also think a lot of RuneScape stuff in the past has been made without creators in mind either. And like sometimes it needs to get bad to get good, and they need to do a little bit of a course correct. And that's sort of what I would say is the current sentiment from me anyway, is like, it's not like, oh, this is so terrible, this is the worst thing ever. It's like, it's good these discussions are happening, because it's the kind of thing that if you don't think about it, creeps up on you. And that's sort of, yeah, that's probably where I would put it. Is the recent CM stream from you uploaded or still uploading? Or is this a stream? It's this stream. Yeah, we just finished the Discord chat, and I will be uploading it to my VOD channel a little later today. But yeah, I was just really, really happy because a lot of this stuff has been very behind the scenes. The more public facing and community facing all this can be, I think the better. So that was definitely, I'm excited by the idea that he was so candid to just be like, yeah, by the way, we're looking at better camera tools. That makes me very happy. I liked your idea of having overlays on Twitch so that streamers can make their in-game interface less cluttered, and then the people watching can choose what interfaces they want to see. Yeah, I have no idea what it would look like from a feasibility standpoint to make that, but I think it'd be pretty cool, right? That'd be a really cool way to take RuneScape to the next level so that the people that just want to watch things can just watch things, and the people that want to see every little interface can do that as well. Because right now you kind of have to pick your poison and pick something in the middle that has everybody slightly unhappy. So I'm definitely on board with that. Azana will be uploading previous stage YouTube at some point. I'll be uploading on VOD. Correct. Yeah. So Azana said next week. There's gonna be. It's Friday evening, right? They, you know, which is, by the way, a good thing. That was something that I really liked too. I'm glad they talked about. Thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. I'm really glad they talked about work-life balance and like not working the devs to the bone, because yeah, I just think it's really good. Like, I don't think Azana should have to stay and upload this thing on a Friday night. It's, you know, but it does mean that, yeah, mine will end up coming out first, but definitely watch the RuneScape one when it comes out as well. And from what I've heard back, they were very happy with me restreaming it. They had no issues with it. It's also worth noting too, this was not something that was just offered to me. It wasn't like, oh, Ryan, you specifically restream this. I asked in a very public way, can we restream it if it's not gonna be on Twitch? And they told everybody, anyone can restream the Discord stages if they want to. And that's the current kind of stance of it. Hey, how are you? I'm doing well. How are you? The influence that creators have on games has changed since RuneScape was created. It matters a lot more now than it did. It definitely does, because when you're looking at MMOs as like a genre of game, in the past, it didn't really matter what the creators were doing, but now creators have a lot of pull. Like, if the streamer you watch every day switches games, there's a good chance you're going to switch games as well and play the game that they're playing. So making a good environment for creators is a really good way to keep the game healthy and growing. I feel like with new leadership, there's a new sense of comfort in the mods to speak a certain way. Maybe I'm too optimistic. There's a different atmosphere, it seems. Yeah, I'm not going to be like, everything is different, this is the craziest thing ever, but I definitely, it's a balance, right? It's always going to be a balance, because I guarantee you, in this current era of lots of communications and lots of streams and all this stuff, which is great, by the way, I guarantee you that coming out of this, there's going to be a point where it flips and it goes back to shutting down the doors a little bit. It always happens where you can kind of overcorrect, and then someone is going to say too much, or the community is going to have a bad interaction with the developer or whatever, and then all of a sudden doors are going to be closed for business again. So it's always just about finding that right balance, and it's never going to happen in the first time, but I'm glad at least that they're open to opening things up a little bit. A lot of content relies on plugins and RuneLite. I agree. API is application programming interface, set of rules that allow two software programs to communicate with each other. Yeah, it's the stuff that lets RuneLite be really cool. That is the most non-developer-y answer ever. But yeah, that's the bulk of it. If anyone has any other questions, by the way. I love hearing that they're valuing personal time and dev downtime. Yep, me too. I think it's a really, really big thing. I think it's really important. I think it's important for the community to remember this too, that the devs are gonna put in their best work they can for the hours they're working, but a lot of RuneScape players play the game like 80 hours a week, and it's like the only thing in their life. And a lot of creators, I'll say this, I spend a lot more time than 36 hours a week focused on RuneScape. Or 40 hours a week focused on RuneScape. It's long nights. It's most nights at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm doing something for a YouTube video, or I'm trimming a VOD, or I'm responding to a business email. But it's really important to remember that, like, this is a job for the developers. They're gonna do the best job they can, but there should be no expectation that they work themselves to the bone and get burned out. But following since 2021, find your streams and videos amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Hey, Maffy, what's good? I think it's sustainable for Markos to be the EP for both games. So, I think, okay, there's no way to answer that without being very speculative. Because I don't think anyone knows exactly what an EP does. And I don't think anyone knows exactly who is part of that leadership group of supporting the EP. Because as an example, if it's Markos and a team of 2 other higher-ups that are both doing both games, easy. If it's just Markos himself, maybe less easy. But I would say this. I don't think it's something worth worrying about unless we see signs that there isn't time being given to both games. That's sort of what I would say about it. Yeah, I really liked them saying that they're open to delaying content to make sure that it comes out really, really good. I thought that was a good answer as well. It's kind of a tough question, right? You're basically asking them, you're calling their bluff. They're saying, are you actually going to be able to do this stuff that you're promising? And yeah, I thought it was pretty good that they're currently confident, but they're gonna delay things if they need to, which I think is awesome, personally. Hooli commented on the Reddit post about Keeper leaving, confirming it. Wishing him the best, saying a lot of nice words. Yep. I also think there's a propensity, and I will be doing no, like, disparaging of ModKeeper, because every executive producer has a different way of doing things. And unfortunately, or, you know, depending on how you slice it, the truth of the matter is, a lot of people don't like ModKeeper because a lot of people didn't get to see what ModKeeper was doing or wasn't doing. And the truth is, our new executive producer, Markos, has been here for a month. So a lot of the roadmap stuff and the stuff you're seeing right now and the conversations about being community focused, these happened before Mod Markos. Mod Markos didn't come in 4 weeks ago like a bull in a china shop, destroying everything and building everything up in this amount of time, right? It's stuff that has been in process for a long time. And yeah, I do want to mention that too, because I do wish Keeper the best, and I have nothing bad to say about the interactions that I had with ModKeeper. He was very pleasant. He was very nice. He was very well spoken. He was very respectful and very polite, which is not something you take for granted as a content creator, because sometimes you get on a call with an executive producer and they look at you like, why the heck should I care about this person? This person is a nobody. This does not matter. So yeah, I just did want to mention that too. Like I think probably from a timing standpoint, I think there's definitely a lot of excitement about having a new, fresh look and having fresh perspective. And I think coming from old school as well, a game that is very player focused and very successful numerically, I think all those are really, really, really good positive signs that I'm very excited for. I mean, you could see my reaction to the announcement about Mod Markos being on board. I'm very excited, but I won't be saying anything bad about ModKeeper. I wish ModKeeper the best. Do you think a DLC-like approach would work for RuneScape? I mean, potentially. I mean, to do that, though, they need to add new kind of lands and new areas, but open to it. I think a lot of approaches will work, though. I think the current approach is looking good. I miss Shawnee's streams. Yeah, so that's what I was surprised by, too, that they mentioned, like, bringing back the RuneScape streams and doing it more consistently. That made me really, really happy. I have been pushing for that for a long time, just because I think it breathes a lot of life into the Twitch directory that is on the decline and treading towards completely dying. So to me, the idea that they're going to be aiming to go live every week, even if it's just a stupid, silly stream that's a Jagex versus Monsters stream, like whatever it is, the fact that that's happening, I think is really, really cool. I am also curious. I am curious if they want me to be involved with that in some way. So yeah, we'll have to see. Once again, I'm in a position where I've just let them know, like, I'm available to help with this stuff, and we'll see if they want that or if they want to do it external to that. But yeah, that was one of the things I asked if there was any possibility of getting more streams going, and I also offered to run those streams if necessary too. So yeah, we'll see what happens. You're from what, YouTube? Why am I talking to you? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The other night seeing 190 in the RS3 directory. Dude, I love the thing where someone takes a screenshot of the RuneScape directory at 3 o'clock in the morning when everybody's asleep and there are 20 people live, and it's like, Wow, the community's dying. Do you guys know there are over 200 streamers that average more than 10 viewers in the RuneScape directory? That's not bad. I think high zoom out negatively impacts readability. No. I think it's an important option to offer. Like forcing people to be zoomed in more just in the random chance that someone is watching, I think is terrible. I think zooming in or out should be the choice of the player. And I think if you're someone that cares a lot about UI and readability, you probably zoom in and have a crop interface, but I don't think that this is bad per se. I'm just discussing the Discord stage. That's all we're going to be doing today. Actually, in about 20-25 minutes, I'm actually heading to Montreal for my grandfather's 93rd birthday, which is today. So going on a little road trip to celebrate with him. His health isn't the best, but bro is 93, man. Like that's pretty good. That's not bad. But yeah, I wanted to take questions about the stage and get your guys' thoughts on it and all of that. Tell Grats at our part. I will do my best to do so. Do the full zoom. Oh yeah, that you know what? I will say that it is nice, the full zoom. It is real nice. Do I have a JM Dream Team? Okay, yeah, well, let's talk about that. I don't. I have no plans for JM right now because I'm thinking about doing something style locked where every person has to pick a style and then we have progression points where they get to upgrade to a second style. Just because I think it would be cool to have a 5-person JM with 1 person on each style. I think it would really mix up the gameplay progression in the loop in a way that would be really cool. So that's something I'm thinking about. The other thing I'm thinking about too is like, I just want it to be really fun and enjoyable. I want to make the best content possible. A lot of creators want to race high scores, and I could not care less about that. So there's going to be, whatever team we make though, it's going to be a dream team. That I can promise. It's going to be the exact people that I'm going to be able to make awesome content with. If you have people that you want me to work with or do a JM with, definitely you can let me know, just so that it's on my radar. But right now I've got a couple people in mind, and then I've got a couple people that are kind of deciding on if they want to grind ranks or if they want to have fun. Sick Nerd. Okay. So I chatted with Sick Nerd. Super nice dude, by the way. He doesn't think he's going to be doing JM on release. So the door is open to do one with him, in his kind of group in the future, but on release, I don't think he's going to be doing it. Do I think Jagex should do more open betas? In general, yes. Yeah, people are mentioning Cash. We'll see what his timing looks like and what his work schedule looks like. I'm not open to that. Am I a fan of 200 mils? Yes, because RuneScape players are genuinely scary. Like, if you removed the 200 mil skill cap, there would be people that had 8 billion XP in one singular skill, and there would be MTX people blowing racks and racks and racks to get the most. Like, it just... There needs to be an endpoint because I don't trust RuneScape players to healthily police themselves. Genuinely. Yeah, so Wazzy's one of the people that I immediately reached out to, and I think he's deciding if he wants to do a sweaty one or a fun one. And if he chooses a fun one, he'll team up with me, and if he wants to do a sweaty one, he'll team up with a different creator that's doing that. Which is totally fair, by the way. Another person that was high up on my list as well is I would love to have Bunny Bop on the team. Just because I think she's an absolute blast to make content with. And she's super positive, and she's super just enjoyable to be around and can hold the team together. So that's someone that I definitely think would be awesome on a GIM. But yeah, I've reached out to a lot of people. I'm just sending out feelers though. I'm not like locking into anything or confirming anything. Wait, I don't have permission to send hello? What? I can't! Jack, I literally can't! They won't let me! Team? Help! I like genuinely. Can I just delete the whole post? Oh, I can. Okay, I'll just do it like that. Cool. Cool. I'll do it like this. Okay. Delete message. Done. Okay. Repost. No, that's fair. That's actually very fair. I can't. Dude, they're making me look bad. Yeah, I literally just can't post anything. Okay, Mod Jack knows that I was kidding around, though. Mod Jack knows, so that's good at least. Pain. Pain. Ryan, the team needs you to go into HR. Mod Doom with the red dot site. That's the real HR. That's funny. Yeah, dude, there are literally no perms. I can't send anything. Oh, I'm back. We're back, baby. Okay. Took some notes on the Discord stage with Markos, Hooli, and Azana. All right, let's fix that. Oops. Okay, cool. Let's fix that. Confirmed. Leading RuneScape as well. Okay, join studio, yada yada. There we go. For currency, fill icon for the in-game players. Mod Hooli, there we go. Community can be good. Here Vaz. I'm just making sure that everything's actually categorized well. Perfect. We're not on the radar. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Okay, question 2. Sorry, chat. I know this is riveting content, isn't it? Me making sure Mod Jack doesn't get a bunch of angry people at him because of something that I said as a joke. I would feel terrible about that. I'm just putting it out there. That would be like, that'd be a low point. There we go. And there we go. And there we go. And there we go. Clarity and removal of jokes. Okay. Whew. Saved. Actually saved. Okay. Saved the run. So bad. That's a bad look, but we're all good. Okay. I'll throw this in here too. Have fun. Okay, and then where's the RuneScape Discord? Okay. Cool. No jokes equal bad. Any news on Fasoa camp? No idea. Yeah, no, I think a lot of people are in that boat where they're not going to play GIM, but they're excited about the existence of GIM because of what creators will be able to make with it. Like, that's really a big part of it. Okay, we're safe. Alrighty. All good. Hope you achieve the goal you have for RSA content creators. If you achieve it, it will benefit the game immensely. Yeah, I will say it's a big goal, right? Like it's a big goal and it's not an easy goal. So, you know, we're gonna have to see what happens. But yeah, obviously that's the hope. That's the big hope. I haven't played this Necro due to unbalanced combat styles. Checking here and there. Wondering, is Jax made any steps to bring all the styles back in alignment? Necro's just easier. It's not that it's too powerful. It's that it's too easy. Or that it's the other styles are too hard, I guess, at the beginning part. But yeah, like, at the end game, like, Sweaty, Necro doesn't compete with range. And I don't think it really competes with melee either. It's probably close to Magic, though. Cool. How am I spending my DXP? Okay, so I have a double XP account that I only play on DXP, and what we do is we do a 1 to 99 in one single gameplay session. So that is one thing that I will absolutely be doing. Other than that, probably continue playing my Hardcore Iron Man, and then maybe I'll do some skilling on my main in the background. Okay. What else? I've got to say, the in-game sounds, man. God Wars 1 music, it is good, but it's a little aggressive sometimes. Is there a way to watch stream from the start while you're still streaming? Yes, if you go to twitch.tv/thersguy/videos, that is what you do. That is the way to do it. Okay. Yeah, I feel bad about that. And also, just worth noting, like, ModJack totally understood, and like no one is bad, but I do feel bad because yeah, you need to be very careful. I don't want to categorize. I don't want to get ModJack into a feud because of something that I had categorized as opposed to yeah. Because yeah, I removed all of the other jokes, like because I had a bunch of comment. I had a comment about Cluers. I had this was one too that I needed to remove, is sending Mod Markos to do a PVM stream. All that kind of stuff that, like, yeah, those are all just my own personal notes. So I think we're good now though. Whew. How do you think the Discord stage went? I thought it went really well. Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I think it's good that they're doing Discord stages. I think they're pretty fun. I think they're pretty awesome. I'd rather they stream them on Twitch still, but, you know, we can make it work. What are the top styles? It'd be ranged, melee, necro, magic. With necro and magic tied, I think, is probably what I would do. But yeah, okay. Well, that was pretty exciting. What a day. Sorry, I'm finding RuneScape music that I want. Yeah. Done it. But yeah. Did anyone else have any other thoughts, any other feedback, any other ideas? Or are we all good? I think probably all good for today. So yeah, I think we'll be calling it here for this stream. Just so that I can get ready to head out to Montreal, which is about 2 hours away. Once again, it's my grandfather's 93rd birthday. So I'm gonna get going now. But before I go, I did want to thank you all so much for tuning in. We can definitely make it a habit of streaming these Discord stages, especially like until the point that they're appearing on the RuneScape stream, which hopefully happens at some point. But yeah, I'll make sure that this gets uploaded to the VOD channel as soon as humanly possible so that it is available on YouTube. And other than that, I just wanted to thank you all so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. It means a lot. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for like a regular actual PVM stream doing the stuff that we usually do. So yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm going to send you guys over to Omid. I hope you guys show him some love and we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone. Have an awesome rest of your day.